Hey everybody, hope you're good today. You're doing spectacular. Just got through working out a little bit and was thinking about my Sunday school lesson this morning. I was we are going through the book of Deuteronomy right now. And this morning, there's a couple of things that occurred to me. In Deuteronomy 17, Moses, by the inspiration of God, is telling the Israelites the laws that they're to keep when they go into the promised land. And at the end of 17, it talks about what is required of a king. Now, you might think this is odd because, you know, God never intended for Israel to have a king. That wasn't his desire. But God also understood that we as humans are going to do what we're going to do sometimes. And, you know, there's a couple of things to learn from that. One is a lot of people talk about what's in the Bible as if God condones those types of activities. And that's not the case. You know, God did not condone the fact that Israel longed for a king over him, but he realized that they were going to have a king at some point. So he gave them regulations. And we see that a lot in Deuteronomy. You know, activities that God addresses, just because he addresses them doesn't mean he's okay with them. But anyway, he addresses the coming king. Obviously, they need to be from the nation of Israel. That was one requirement. The other requirement was, you know what, don't go building this big army. He says, don't be adding a lot of horses to your army. I want your army to be small. And then he says the king should write down the law and keep it close by. What's he saying? Keep the Bible in modern day terms. If you're going to be king, today he would say you're going to write the Bible out in your own handwriting. The book of law is what he says. Obviously here he was talking about the 10 Commandments. He was saying the king should write out the 10 Commandments in his own handwriting and keep it close by. That's much to what Joshua did when he settled in the promised land. He wrote the 10 Commandments down and kept them close to him. He's telling this king, this future king, to write them down and keep them close by. Same thing we should do. But, so in 17 he says, keep your army small. You don't need a big army. And then in chapter 20, he says, he gives some regulations about the army, which says, you know what, if you've just got married, you don't have to go off to war. You can go back home if you just bought a piece of land. He gives all these excuses why, if you've done these things, you don't have to go off and fight in Israel's army. And I think that's there for two distinct reasons. One is if you're not dedicated, then I don't want you. If you're not dedicated to go off and be in this war, I don't want you, because you're not benefiting anyone. Think about it. If I'm going off to war, I want to know that the man on my right and the man on my left are dedicated to the cause. They want to be here. They believe in what we're doing. You know, I don't want someone that's, you know what, I don't really want to be here, and the minute the fighting starts, they're going to drop their weapon and run the other way. You're not benefiting anyone, is what God says. If you're not committed to the cause, then go home. We don't need you in the army. The other thing is he wants the size of the army small. So he puts these regulations in place so that the army can't grow too big because, you know, they have law, by law of God, they have a way to get out. There are all of these reasons. God says, I don't need a big army. And he says there in the start of chapter 20, don't be afraid, because I, God, the Lord God, am fighting the battles for you. There's a reason that they don't need a big army. He's saying, if I'm sending you in there, whatever you've got's adequate. You don't need all these special number of people. And I thought about that in today's, you know, first of all, I thought about how many times did Israel outnumber its enemy? Never. What happens today? How many times does Israel outnumber its enemy? They don't. You can say, well, there's more of them than there are of Hamas. Yeah, but then there's Hezbollah and then there's Iran and Iran. They all hate Israel. They don't outnumber their enemies. Why is that? Because God never wants any confusion about who won the battle for his people. I think about Gideon. You know, he had 30,000 when he started, and God said that's too many, and he got down to 10, and God said that's still too many, and then he got down to 300, and God said that's perfect. It's perfect. That's all I need. 300. And as I thought about that, I thought about today's church. You know, we have mega churches and super churches and whatever. You know, we got all these churches, and the push of the church is we got to get more people. We got to get more people. And I agree. We first of all, we've got to spread the gospel. I don't know that we need to grow more people, but what we need to have is just like Israel's army. We got to have people in there that are sold out and believe in the cause. Not the ones that are just here because I felt like I should be here, or I'm here because that's what I do. I'm going to go out and live my life how I live my life 6 days a week, and on the 7th day I'm going to go to church. No. You know, I made this comment. There are, in my Sunday school class, there were excuse me, 4 other gentlemen in there with me, and I said I'd rather have these 4 men than have 50 that aren't dedicated to the cause. My brothers that I can count on. And that's what we lack today. We got to have brothers that we can count on. I don't care if there's only 10 people in the congregation. If I can count on them, all 10 of them, I got more than enough people to accomplish what God has in store. We don't need 5,000, 10,000, 100,000 of half-dedicated people. We just need 10. Matter of fact, we just need 5. We just need 2. And I have to be, you know, that's the charge to me, and the charge to you is be one of those people. Ask yourself that question. Am I one of those people? Or am I looking for an excuse why I don't have to do what God has called me to do? I don't have to go off to war because I don't feel like it. You know, we're fighting a spiritual battle each and every day. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of days I don't live my life like I am. But I am. And what I need, obviously, I need God. But what God will give me is some people to fight it with me. And I don't need a great number. I just need a few. That's all God says. God said I could do it myself, but I choose to use a few. Choose to use a few. So let's be one of the few. Let's be sold out for God's army. Can't be half dedicated. We got to be committed to the cause. God bless you. I hope you have a great day.